3D Jack Skellington and Nightmare Before Christmas acrylic nail art tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish.
Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be doing a Nightmare Before Christmas nail art design with, it's going to be a 2-nail design, which I love doing those sometimes, and it's going to be Jack Skellington on one nail and then the little silhouette with the moon on the other nail, and the moon is glow in the dark, so then when you are in the dark, you can still see Jack's silhouette, which is really cool, and it still, even in the dark, you definitely know that it's Nightmare Before Christmas right away, especially if you're a fan, because you can just tell right off the bat, which is so cool. I hope you like this one, and if you're interested, I have a natural nail Nightmare Before Christmas design that I did about a year ago, and I'll put a link to that in the description box below, so check that out. And don't forget to click subscribe to my future videos and future Halloween designs as well.
The first nail I'm going to be doing is the Jack Skellington nail, so I'm going to start with a purple, it's a medium to dark purple acrylic, and I'm going to do an overlay with that just down the nail. And then after that, I'm going to add a layer of clear acrylic over the top of it. When I'm using colored acrylics, I like to keep that extremely thin and then add the thickness and the strength with clear acrylic, just because clear acrylic is much less expensive and I buy a bigger jar of it than the colored acrylics and makes them last longer that way. But now I'm going to be filing it with a 100 gradient file and then buff it with a 240 grit pad buffer to move any scratches that the other file may have left behind, apply a layer of gel sealer, and cure it. So now I'm going to be sculpting a slight oval for Jack's head. So the oval, he's a little bit wider, his head's wider than it is tall, if that makes sense, but I'm doing this with just regular old white acrylic, and I'm keeping this relatively thin. It is 3-dimensional, so you definitely don't want it to be like a pancake, but you know, it doesn't have to be crazy thick either. And now I'm going to be adding, those will be for his neck, very, very skinny neck, and then add the white section of his, like his torso, and then add his coat. So for his coat, it's just going to be sort of a little black outline going around that white torso that goes all the way up and around, and then that's also going to be his arm. So just put a bead of black down and then just sort of pull and tuck it in around the white, if that makes sense. And now I'm going to be adding his arms, and because the nail is a coffin shape and it isn't very wide at the tip, there's not much room for his arms, but put in what you can. Especially this arm, there's almost no room for it, but you get the gist. So now on a nail form backing and gel paint, I'm using black gel paint for this, I'm going to be making the little bat that is his necktie. So I'm going to start with a little bat's body, and I'm going to be adding his wings, and I'm holding the nail next to us as I'm doing it just to make sure that it's the right size and shape. You know, you want to make sure it's proportionate. And doing that, you just have an idea. Otherwise, you can draw it out if you like. That's another way to do it. Make sure that it gets the right shape if you draw it out in advance and then put the nail form backing on top of the drawing because you can see through it. Cure that. I'm going to add a second coat just to give it some thickness. The first layer of the gel paint is super thin, and so if you don't do it, it's going to probably fall apart on you. But then put some nail glue on the Jack Skellington where you want his tie to be. And then the gel paint stays flexible, but it does dry without a tacky layer, so you can take that off and do that. I'm sorry I missed painting his face. As I mentioned, I do have a natural nail design where you can see how I did paint his facial expression. Otherwise, there's so many tutorials out there that show that. For the moon nail, I'm going to be first doing just a white clear or a white acrylic circle, and then I'm going to add some glow-in-the-dark powder on top of that. So I take a bead of clear acrylic and then I dunk it into a glow-in-the-dark pigment and I put that on top of the white. That's how I got the glow-in-the-dark effect. And then to create the gradient in the background, I'm going to start with black, and then I'm just going to, when it gets to the tip, just brush it down with a heavy-handed monomer, and then I'm going to add purple at the tip and then just sort of fade it up. It's pretty simple. You just have to make sure that you have the right monomer to polymer ratio for doing ombres and gradients. You want to make sure that it's a little bit wetter and more monomery. And now I'm going to be filing it to remove all the black and purple off the white moon, and then encasing it with a layer of clear acrylic. This nail, I know it looks like it's probably pretty thick with all those layers with the white and then the glow in the dark and then black and purple, but it was really pretty thin. So I'm going to add clear acrylic just to make it the right thickness, and also just because white acrylic is going to smooth it out and make all those layers nice and even and perfect looking. Whew, that was a mouthful. After you have that in place, you're going to want to file it with a 180 grit file, buff it with a 240 grit pad buffer, just like the other nail before. And that is really sort of the winning combination that I've found for filing and buffing. It works really well for me. But you can file and buff your own way however you like to. Apply a layer of gel sealer, cure it, and now I'm going to be sculpting my purple mountain. So I'm going to start with the same color purple that I used on the tip of the nail, as well as the background for the Jack nail. and I'm just going to pull it out and stretch it. The benefit of doing three-dimensional art on top of a gel sealer or gel top coat or any sort of gel product is that it's really slippery, so you have a lot of opportunity to move your acrylic around, and it's not going to leave any residue, so to speak. But it also does move around a lot, so if it's a wetter acrylic, it's going to probably slide and slither is the word I want to use here, all over the place. So you want to make sure that your acrylic is a little bit stiffer, but it's kind of a different feeling than if you're doing it on top of a matte surface like just buffed acrylic. I'm going to be highlighting my little mountain with some white acrylic that's very, very wet, and just sort of blend that in and wash it over. And I'm also going to add a little bit of a tealy blue color on my mountain just to give it some various colors, variegated color, make it look a little bit less flat. And now I'm going to be painting Jack's silhouette on top of the mountain over the moon with black paint. I'm going to put gel sealer over the top of the moon, cure it again, and you're all done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this design, especially if you are a Nightmare Before Christmas fanatic. And don't forget to share recreations with me on Facebook and Twitter. I would absolutely love to see them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!